Well, hello, listeners and viewers. Welcome back to the second episode of Run Brevard that is brought to you on video via Zoom, thanks to the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic and us having to record at home. But thankfully, technology lets us come together still to bring you another episode of Run Brevard and to see each other. So how's it going, John? How's it going, Pete?
It's going well. I wish everything's back to normal, but we got to work with what we got, right?
That's right. How about you, Pete?
We got a long way to go till normal, but we're just making the best of every day so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we had some fun recording last time, so hopefully you listeners and viewers had fun watching. And we actually have a special guest who's going to dial in, zoom in a little bit later. John, you want to tell everybody a little bit about him?
Sure. So Alex Feldman is our Diadora rep. And that's not like his official title. It's like he's like the East Coast Sales Manager for Diadora. He doesn't just handle run specialty, but he also handles soccer and tennis as well for Diadora. So Diadora is an Italian brand, but they're relatively new to the U.S. market as far as run specialty goes. I remember wearing like some Diadora cleats, like growing up playing soccer, but run specialty wise, they're relatively new. I first met Alex at the running event back in December when I was there with Pete. And we talked to him a little bit when we were there just because we were interested in the brand. And, at the time we weren't carrying Diadora product. We are now, of course. And then I actually had the chance to go to the marathon trials with Alex when I went to Atlanta. So I traveled with him. Met him really in Atlanta, and we stayed together for the weekend and watched the race, and so I've got to know him pretty well over the past like 4 months, and he's a fun guy, and I'm looking forward to having him here today.
That trip seems like a million years ago, John.
It really does.
I was actually going to say, it seems like you guys have become fast friends with this guy that I just heard about him. And then John was going to marathon trials and you guys are just always talking about how great he is. And so I've never spoken with him. So I'm excited to finally get to meet this elusive Alex. So that'll be a lot of fun. But before we get to that, let's do a little check-in on how everything's been going and the social distancing, quarantine, not exactly a full quarantine for most people, but the shelter in place and stay at home. I know since the last time we talked, the actual shelter in place has gone into effect here in Florida. And that means something different, I guess, for everyone. Of course, we know non-essential workers are still out there. And if you have essential errands that you need to do or exercise, I know for me, the biggest change was what's going on at the beach near me. So a few weeks ago, they did close the parking lots. But can you guys see me?
Oh, we lost you somehow. Oh,
there you go.
Am I back?
Yep,
Someone was instant messaging my daughter. Sorry about that. Sorry, listeners. So that's another fun thing. Quick side note, that my kids need a lot of technology right now. And we thought our house had a lot of technology, but to support the homeschooling of virtual schooling of 5 kids, plus the reading that they need to do on the side, plus us still working full-time jobs, plus the technology is getting a little hairy. We're not sure if we actually do have enough technology anymore. When we used to think we had too much. And of course, we don't know how long this will go on. I'm assuming Brevard schools will not go back this year, though that isn't official yet. So hopefully they'll be able to go back by the fall. But anyway, so the beaches, that's the biggest thing for me. And then obviously having the 5 kids home, which I personally really love. I wish I didn't have to, also work on top of it so I could just hang out with them and do their school. So trying to manage both has been a lot, but we're making it work. And thankfully my older kids are pretty independent. I just have to come back behind them every now and then to make sure they actually didn't rush through it. My little ones need a lot more time, but it hasn't been bad. It's been a lot of fun. But
and
I miss
a
their
puppy on
teachers.
top of all that.
Right. So then on top of all this, the puppy is here. She's doing great, actually. She's really good. The first couple nights she barked in her sleep, which is kind of weird because we didn't hear her bark when she was awake. She didn't bark at anything. So it kind of terrified us in the middle of the night. So I don't know if she was dreaming or just out of sorts. but she started sleeping in a crate a few nights ago. We just opened it up and she went in and we shut it. It's in my room and she's fine in there till morning and she hasn't been barking. So that's the main thing. And she likes to dig, which is kind of rough because we just got new landscaping. So I had to kind of chase her around and tell her not to dig. But other than that, as far as puppies go, she's great. So that's kind of my update. How about you, Pete?
Nothing major, just still going. My wife has been kind of seeing patients over the phone and doing some, not quite Zoom, but like a Zoom type app that they've been trying to work on. And we're still doing curbside pickup orders. We're doing shipping orders. We're doing same day delivery orders through locally. John actually ran out delivered a package himself the other day, and we're keeping an eye on people's address when they ask for it shipped, and if it's anywhere close, we're definitely all about that personal touch and driving it out there and saving everybody a little bit of time, and just trying to navigate through all this stuff. It feels like I don't know. It doesn't even feel like this is really happening in a way. I don't know. There's not like a really concrete way to say that, but I feel like I could wake up tomorrow and like if things went back to normal, I wouldn't remember what we did, but I think we're a long way from normal. So just trying to make the best of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been thinking about that a lot too. And what parts of normal were kind of just habit and what parts maybe we don't want, what activities we might not actually want to add back in and things like that when it gets busy again, or we have the opportunity to be busy again. So that'll be interesting to see how that looks in each house and in each family. What about you, John? Delivering shoes. I was a recipient of that wonderful delivery service. Aaron Schuck brought me a pair of shoes yesterday, and my daughter Amelia, and some socks and some Power Step. And that was lovely. That was so great. So I really appreciate you guys figuring that out and getting me my shoes that I desperately needed.
There's like really 4 delivery options. There's USPS, there's UPS. Postmates is connected to locally right now. They're doing a lot of the same day delivery. And then there's a Running Zone employee.
John and Pete.
Yeah. Yesterday, of course, it was Aaron. So Aaron helped out with that delivery because, you guys live pretty close, I guess. So it's nice to, Pete, I've done 2 deliveries now. Pete, you've done one, right? One of them, it was not quite on my way home, but like it was close enough that I'm like, well, I can just deliver this today and you'll have it today, or I can ship it and you'll have it in like 2 to 3 days. I was like, I'd rather just bring it to you on my way home from work. And, then you've got your shoes and, I don't have to worry about it. So that was my second delivery. The first one was 2 miles from the store. So I just hopped right out and took it and then, jumped back in. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
It's definitely it's weird, but I'm glad that we're still able to accommodate people and get them shoes. And, there's not a whole lot, like we said, I think we said this before, there's not a whole lot else you can do right now other than, go for a run or for a walk. So it's, helping people, any way we can. So.
And I noticed too, that you all started this social media daily fitness challenges too last week. I haven't gotten to any of them either. I've been tagged in some push-up challenges and stuff. And I mean, I'll post about my workouts when they're done, but you'll probably never see me post like actually me working out because I'm a little self-conscious about it, but I'm hoping I can get up some courage and do some of those challenges, either the ones you've already posted or new ones. Maybe we can get the kids to do it with me, maybe the puppy too, because those are neat.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to jump back up on those because we did like 3 days in a row, and then we had Aaron did one of them, and I ran out of spy belts to give away. So we were working on one with Zippy, but there was a scheduling issue, and soon we should have one with Zippy, and it's kind of like for the kids. It can be posted to like the Countdown to Fitness page, to get kids engaged as well. Just keeping everyone active during this time. So,
yeah, that's great. I know parents are looking for a lot of opportunities like that too. Trying to, like, there's only so many places we can walk right now and go, and we can't park a lot of places. So it's it's good to get out, but it's nice to have some fun things that you can do at home too, to keep everybody active.
When you're not exercising, what have you been doing? You've been watching Netflix or TV? Any good specials or shows you've been watching that you want to educate anyone else on? I've oh goodness, I watched a movie the other night. Courtney and I watched Knives Out. Daniel Craig's in it. Ryan Johnson was the director and writer of it, who people might know from I don't remember. It's like episode 8 of Star Wars. Not it's the middle one. Like J.J. Abrams did the first and third, and then he did the second one. But it was really good. I enjoyed it. It's kind of like a whodunit. Daniel Craig's like this renowned detective trying to figure out who killed this person, and he's interrogating all the family members of and it was good. I enjoyed it. Daniel Craig does this absolutely ridiculous Southern accent though, and Daniel Craig is British, and him doing this like very Southern draw thing is very funny. And I just was flashing back to Michael Scott, I do declare there has been a murder. Like that's like what I was thinking of when it was happening, but when I was watching it. But
in Savannah.
Yeah. That sounds, I saw posters for that when I was touring, like doing the movie tour in the fall, and it does look really good. What about you, Pete? Watching anything good? Listening to anything good?
We caught up on Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's definitely a big one for me. I know we were a little bit behind. I think we started it the week that the season finale came out. So kind of blew through that. And we recently gave in to peer pressure and started Tiger King. So I think I know what happens. Don't spoil it for me. We're like 3 episodes in right now. Yeah, I feel like there's this, I've had the chance to FaceTime with a lot of people that I don't get to see very often. And it's like, why couldn't we just do this anyway? Like even in a normal day, why couldn't I just FaceTime my friend and his kids? But it seems like for some reason it's taken us till that we're homebound and we're bored that, we've decided to FaceTime people. And so, some friends that I usually only get to see once or twice a year, maybe, I've had a chance to FaceTime with them a couple times. And, my friends up in Maryland, I don't really get to see their kids very much because when I am there, I'm there for like a night and we're going to an Orioles game or going to a Ravens game or whatever it is. And so it's been kind of cool to see them, a little bit more than I usually do. My one friend, I won't name names, but we FaceTime with them earlier this week, and he was like, we just got back from the emergency room because so-and-so pulled a bookcase down on her head today, and so she had to get some staples. So I'm like, oh, well, I didn't have that to deal with today, so it works for me.
Goodness.
Makes you feel really grateful. Yeah, I haven't watched Tiger King. Have you, John? Have you watched it?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what I'm putting off. I don't know why. I'm not ready for that yet. I'll get back to it.
Yeah. The only surprising thing about it is it doesn't entirely take place in Florida.
Oh.
That is honestly pretty surprising.
That is, considering everything I've seen about it. That is surprising. I haven't really watched anything new other than I've been here and there watching a movie with my kids. We've watched the first 2 Back to the Future movies. And I think we're going to watch the third one tomorrow, which I love the third one. That's my favorite. And I think I'm in the minority. Everyone I talk to is like, oh my God, but then the third one. And I'm like, oh, it's so good. I can't wait. So we watched those. So that's been kind of fun, especially, the second one where they're in 2016. And it's funny because nothing is right. And everyone's still using payphones, which is so funny to me. It's like they couldn't foresee the whole mobile phone situation. But I've been listening. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, the question is, have you found a way to justify that being like history class for the kids or something?
I justify just about anything as any class anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's water the plants. Okay, this was science. Their teachers are wonderful, and we have a checklist, so we certainly are doing all the lessons. But PE is jumping in the pool at 3:00 every day. That's PE. A few of them will do the Peloton, so I let them do that. They are cooking with me, so they don't really do home ec, but that's kind of like an extra creative thing. I'm making them help me cook and bake, so that's part of it. But I've been listening to a ton of Unsolved Murders podcasts while I'm organizing drawers or watering my plants or whatever. I'm listening to like 2 cases a day or so, which is like over an hour and a half of listening. So in fact, I did a Peloton ride yesterday, and I did scenic so that I could listen to one of my mysteries while I rode. So
Nice.
That's been fun. It's, I don't want to water my plants at dark anymore, and I'm glad I have a dog with me in the morning when I go out now that I've listened to so many of these. But the one I think it's just called Unsolved Murders. It's from the Parcast Network. It's pretty good. I've been listening to that one a lot. But not a whole lot of TV binging per se yet. That might still be coming.
Well, something that I found interesting, John and I were talking about it at work today. We've talked about on this podcast before an ultra runner named Mike Wardian. So was it yesterday, or it was like the last couple days? There's an ultra that it's called the Backyard Ultra, and they weren't able to do it, so they were doing this virtual called the Backyard Quarantine Run, and so they had to run a 4.1 mile loop every hour on the hour, and to see how long they could keep going. And Mike Wardian was running around his neighborhood in DC, and people were running from all over the world. It was like, I can't remember how many different people. Sorry, I touched my face. But so anyway, so it ended up coming down to him and one other person. And Mike was running in his neighborhood, and this person was running on a treadmill in their living room. So it went into Mike's, got the 63 laps of 4.1 miles. It was like 262 miles that he ran. And the other guy, there was a little bit of controversy, which I didn't realize at first. John read the article. He can fill you in.
Well, yeah, so I was doing some additional research on it. And so the race rules is that you have to start each lap on the hour. And he was apparently on the treadmill at the time, but his treadmill malfunctioned and would not start on time or something. So he was disqualified. So this could have gone on even longer, honestly. We said Mike did 63 laps, but what that also means is that Mike ran 4 miles every hour for 63 hours. And he didn't sleep at all during any of it, which is mind blowing to me. 4 miles, every hour, maybe I could do that. Or at least, until my body breaks down, but the no sleeping part might kill me.
Yeah, no break in there. That's amazing. Wow. And then the other guy wasn't that far. So when the other guy dropped out, did then Mike stop at that point because he had won, or did he just keep going?
So, yeah. So, he started his lap at the same time and apparently found out in the middle of his run, I guess maybe his wife drove by in the car, I don't know, and said, hey, the other guy got disqualified and you've won. And so the article said that he ran his fastest 4 mile lap to complete it. He ran it in like 31 minutes. I guess all the other ones he was going slower because, he thought, maybe this is going to drag out for a really long time. And so it said he ran his fastest lap of any of them since he started on that one, because he'd won, it was over. He can just, take it home, I guess.
And
so did he?
I follow him on Strava, and I saw it coming out, and I was like, I kept seeing, because he normally runs like 10 miles at a minimum, 8 miles, whatever. and I kept seeing the same 4-mile loop, and it was like 4 miles, 4 miles, 4 miles, 4 miles, 4 miles, 4 miles, and I was like, is his Garmin broken? Is he just uploading the same thing like 50 times? And then I finally figured out what was going on. So.
Now, did he win any sort of prize? Did he win money or?
John, tell her what he won.
What did he win, John?
So I don't know about prize money as far if there was any. Usually in ultras, you get a nice piece of wood and that's really about it. But what I saw was a plaque with a golden roll of toilet paper attached to it. That's the prize that I saw, which is fitting, I guess.
Yeah, it makes sense for this time that we are in, this running time. That's quite a reward.
Yep.
It's great.
Well, guys, I guess let's get Alex on the phone here.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds good.
The call. So I'm going to stop the recording here. We'll get him in and then we'll start up again.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, we are back. We've got Alex Feldman joining us. He is Alex. What is your official title again?
I am the Diadora Sales Manager for sport in the South.
Oh, so, I upgraded you. I called you the East Coast Sales Manager.
So I extend all the way to the Pacific as well. So we instead of having like East and a West Coast, we have a North and a South. Not quite at the Mason-Dixon line, but fairly close.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for joining us today. We were kind of recapping when we first met you earlier. We said, Pete and I met you at the running event, TRE, back in December. I think before we even met face-to-face, I had posted something to my Instagram story and tagged it like TRE 2019. And you started following me. I'm like, who's this guy? And then we met at the Diadora booth like the next day or something, and we talked about product and talked about possibly meeting to bring in the product and stuff as well. So
had some espresso.
Did I act like I knew that I'd like something on your page, or did we just not even talk about it?
I don't know if we mentioned it then or when we met in like January. I'm not sure. Yeah, but yeah, we've been Instagram buddies ever since. So
sure. Yeah, I think you, Pete, and I are friends on multiple platforms.
I think that's true.
We got Facebook covered. I'll send you my live journal after this.
Awesome. we even recently hung out on FaceTime and House Party as well. So Alex FaceTimed me sometime last week, I guess, and there's a couple of the guys that we went to Atlanta with, and I didn't see like who was FaceTiming me at first. It just showed like all these random numbers like coming across my screen, and I was like, man, who is this? And I think I saw like one name that I recognized. Like, oh, okay, let me answer this. And so one thing we talked about on that call actually was we each had to name 3, and it was, what was it worded as, like 3 favorite restaurants or 3
national
chain restaurants?
Chains. Yeah.
So if I remember correctly, I think mine was Olive Garden, Moe's, and I'm blanking on my last one now.
Last one might have been. It wasn't Arby's, was it?
No.
That doesn't add up.
And Katie, for context, you couldn't select another restaurant that anyone else had already selected. You had to.
It was more of a fantasy draft of restaurants.
Yeah. Pete, what were yours? Do you remember?
I had Jimmy John's, Bonefish, and Five Guys.
Oh, I remember my last one. I think it was O'Charlie's.
That's right.
That does ring a bell.
Yeah.
And you guys were blind picking because everybody else on the call had already gone through and we had done a snake draft, but you guys still found 6 that hadn't been chosen yet, which was impressive.
We were just told you pick 3 restaurants, and you name one and you're nope, already taken. Nope, already taken. And you just had to keep going until you found one. What were yours, Alex?
So I am a Taco Bell stan forever. I love Taco Bell, so that was my first pick. And then growing up in Virginia and living in South Carolina for a little bit, I had to pick Waffle House. Had to go back to the roots there. And then I'm a huge fan of Sweet Tomatoes, they're called in Florida, I believe. And then on the West Coast, they're called Soup Plantation. Same business, just two different names on opposite coasts.
Now,
What I didn't get to ask the other day was, did anyone pick Cookout?
No one did.
I'm dying inside.
And 5 years ago, I would have been all over Cookout. I've fortunately or unfortunately become a vegetarian in the last 5 years, but Cookout was a mainstay prior to those days for sure.
Oh yeah.
You can spend $6 and eat for 14 weeks.
I think I've really only had like one experience with Cookout, and it was in Nashville, and I just cannot believe the amount of like milkshake flavors they have, like watermelon, fruit punch, like everything. It's incredible.
I'm sure there's some high fructose corn syrup involved.
No doubt.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Katie, any if you had to pick three chain restaurants?
I'm sure they've already been picked, but well, Sweet Tomatoes is my favorite, my absolute favorite. We drive over to Orlando on my birthday usually to go there because there aren't any here in Brevard. I like Sweet Tomatoes. I like Olive Garden. I don't eat much pasta anymore, but I'm surprised no one had picked that when you picked it, John. I like Taco Bell too. So probably those three, which were all said. So I guess nothing original, but they all sound good.
It became a challenge to try and...
I've never heard of Cookout. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, Katie. Oh,
What's
Katie.
happening?
I'll mail you some.
Oh, okay. like a watermelon milkshake or something?
Some, maybe some Hush Puppies.
Oh, yeah.
I can down with some Hush Puppies. That sounds delicious.
What would you describe Cookout as? They're mainly burgers, right? And fries.
Yeah, but they also like have the most random stuff on the menu too. And I guess how maybe Checkers was like in its heyday and like Rallies. Like, are you guys familiar with Rallies and Checkers? Like a lot of the services walk up to the counter, like you get out of your car, and then they also have a drive-through component. But like, yeah, it's if you've been out late night and had some adult beverages and you drive by a Cookout, odds are there's going to be a fairly long line there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Alex said, $6 will get you about 3 weeks worth of food.
But it
sounds amazing.
I mean, at least most of my experience with Checkers is that they've been around for a long time. Like that location has always been a Checkers, and it's never been anything else. But the Cookout I went to was like fairly new. You know, it was in downtown Nashville, and so maybe it was like a newer location or something. I remember, I think one of the ones like in Knoxville burned down when my friends were in college at UT Knoxville, and they were very, very devastated that it burned down. So
that's a tough break.
Yeah, tough break. Well, Alex, we've known you with Diadora for a long time, but you've been in Run Specialty for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So when did you get started in Run Specialty?
So I've been in the industry for a little over 12 years now. The way I got started was probably not how a lot of people started. I went to college my freshman year and went to run track and didn't really go to class. Did more of the drinking of adult beverages than going to class there. So wasn't mature enough to be a college student. So I moved back home, and a guy there had a good relationship with my dad. My dad's a high school track coach, and he was willing to give me a job. And the name of that store was Virginia Runner. And that was in Woodbridge, Virginia. And they had 3 locations. And I was able to work my way up there, and then got a job working for Brooks as a traveling guru. And that was probably one of the more unique jobs I've ever had. Is they had this double-decker English bus that they refurbished, and they put 2 treadmills on the top, and we went across the country going to all the rock and roll marathons and going to Run Specialty stores in between our stops there.
We had the bus one time.
Oh yeah, did you guys have the bus or the surf one?
We had the Cavalcade of Curiosities.
Yeah, awesome.
Way back.
Yeah. And yeah, I could have been there and just completely blanked on it. But yeah, I saw like 46 of the lower 48 states in like a 9-month period.
Wow.
And we would load the truck onto like a lowboy trailer. So I've seen my fair share of truck stops across this country. But yeah, so that was an awesome experience. And then went back and worked for that guy that his name's Jeff Van Horn. He's got a store in Richmond now, and I moved back to Richmond to help him open that. And then from there, worked for Nathan, and then came on over to Diadora about 2.5 years ago.
Awesome, man. And when did Diadora, I was saying, is kind of like newer to U.S. run specialty, but it's been in Europe for a long time. When did Diadora start getting into U.S. run specialty?
About 3 years ago,
Okay.
is when the brand relaunched here in the States. So yeah, like you were saying, they haven't really been here in the States in about 25 years. Like I've gone in some stores and they're like, oh yeah, I carried you back in the 90s, and then I don't know, you guys disappeared. So we actually opened a U.S. headquarters here. It's in Philadelphia, right in South Philly. So a lot of Italian heritage right there in that part of town. And yeah, our whole focus is run specialty since we came back to the States.
That's awesome. And I was mentioning how you kind of cover like tennis and soccer as well.
Yeah. And that's like one of the really cool things about our brand is most people aren't going to think of Diadora as a running brand, but in the 80s we had Sebastian Coe and Edwin Moses in the 70s, and but people remember like Bjorn Borg or Boris Becker or Roberto Baggio from the soccer side. So we have this really rich sport history. It's just getting an opportunity to tell it from the running perspective, and then also I get an opportunity to work in the tennis industry, which I hadn't previously been involved in, and then some soccer stuff now as well. So just being a fan of all sports, like it's been a really cool opportunity.
That's cool, man. And so you mentioned that you ran track in college, so I'm assuming you ran in high school as well.
Yep, I had a very love-hate relationship with track. I didn't start running until my junior year. I had broken my foot during the last game of our football season, and I wasn't able to play basketball that year. So to rehab, I started running indoor track at the tail end of the season, and was having a little bit more success on the track than on the basketball court. So stuck with it for the rest of the junior year, and then my senior year as well.
Cool. And what was like your main event in track?
So I ran the 200 and the 400. So
Nice.
Definitely a shorter distance guy. The longer sprints and dabbled in the 800 here and there.
Cool. And so mentioned you run in like shorter distances. So you recently ran your first half marathon, right? Like
Grudgingly, yep.
Like last week, pretty much, right?
Yep, last Monday. I got called out on one of the many Instagram, challenges going across, going around right now. And the guy you and I both know, Cody from St. Pete, tagged me in. And Monday at like 3:00 in the afternoon, it was like 65 degrees out. So I was like, all right, let's go give it a shot here.
I mean, that's not the worst like running weather possible. Like, I mean, I think it was probably 85, almost 90 here today. So I'm a little jealous of your 65. But I would say the half marathon challenge is probably not one of the most popular ones I've seen going around the Instagram. More push-up challenges than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. But I enjoyed it. I knew like I did not try and push myself very hard there. I wanted to be able to finish. So took 2 work calls during the middle of it. Very relaxed 13-mile jaunt.
Yeah, but you seem to like. I think you posted the pace, and it was all right. It wasn't that slow or anything.
It was, I think, like high 8s. But yeah, it was
good, man. Well, especially like for just relaxing and stuff. That's not bad.
I will.
Taking phone calls.
Well, that was my running time. Like if you look at Strava and you go into like the actual time elapsed, it's quite a bit more.
Hold on, wait. I don't think we've connected on Strava yet. I'm gonna follow you right now.
So now you can follow him for everything all the time.
Yes. Awesome. Well, so obviously you said Diadora has this really rich sport history. What would you say like sets them apart from other like run specialty brands? Like,
so we are only available to run specialty retailers. So stores like Running Zone are the only kinds of stores you're going to see in the U.S. that are going to have our product. So you got to come get fit by Pete or you, John, or anybody else there at the store to even find our product. And And that stems from, our entire team coming from a run specialty background. Brian Porter, he's the country manager. He's worked in the industry for probably over 20 years. We've got a guy named Amir. He's in the Pacific Northwest. He comes from us with a retail background. Nick, who Pete, from his Florida days, he's in the Northeast. We've got Chuck in the Midwest, who's been in the industry for about 10 years. And then we've got a guy named Richard who just started with us in the last 4 months, and he's in Texas, and he's been around the industry for right around 10 years as well. We're a company is whoever the people that represent it are. And there's only 11 people in the U.S. with Diadora, so we're a very small team. Like, how many people do you guys have at Running Zone?
Yeah, I mean,
a little more than that.
Yeah, we're probably close to 30 employees, in total, between
the two companies. Yeah.
So it's a real close-knit group, and you guys saw all the reps on Friday during that call. So we all get along outside of work, and it's a really unique and fun work experience and culture that we have.
That's awesome. Now, I mean, obviously your global headquarters is in Italy, which, was pretty devastated with the COVID-19. Any update from your HQ in Italy? How are they doing?
Yep. So they're still doing a work from home policy, and they were a little early on that. So, there haven't been any reported cases from anybody that works at HQ. There's a little over 220 people that work in our headquarters in Italy, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes northwest of Venice. So it's a little bit inland. The biggest city right near it is called Treviso. But there's a couple of guys I talk to on GChat almost every day, and they have similar restrictions to what we have here, at least in Virginia, to where you can go to the grocery store. You can go for a run outside if you're able to. A lot of those guys have been kind of just sticking at home and riding on the bike trainer or doing a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, same kind of things we're doing here.
Yeah.
But everybody seems to be pretty upbeat.
Nobody the guy that did his marathon on his balcony, that was not a Diadora employee, was it?
Not to my knowledge. Yeah. No.
We saw the article about that, and it gave the dimensions of his balcony, and we kind of spaced it out in the store, and I did 10 laps, and I was dizzy, and I was like, yeah, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of mental fighting going on for that guy, I'm sure.
Earlier, we were talking about, what's the best thing you've seen during quarantine? Pete just recently started Tiger King. I was saying I watched Knives Out the other day, the movie. I've not seen it yet, so I enjoyed it. Anything you're watching or caught your eye?
So I definitely dove right into Tiger King. Funny story about Tiger King. In Virginia, when you're a senior in high school, a lot of the time, the week after you graduate, you go down to Myrtle Beach or Nag's Head on what's called Beach Week. And we actually went to Doc's place in Myrtle Beach. So I have a couple pictures. I'm not proud of them now, but with baby tigers from Doc's place. Didn't meet, to my knowledge, any of his wives, but had a connection there. So yeah, that Tiger King was certainly interesting and definitely caught my wife and my attention. I've watched Ocean's 11 4 times, I think, just because it's been on TV and I haven't changed the channel. But other than that, nothing crazy.
So I'll throw this in there because you threw out one of our last real podcasts we recorded. You hit me with the Chris Hoyles and BJ Surhoff. Did you catch the 21-31 game that was on last night?
I did not. I read the article that was on the ESPN landing page today and was super bummed that I missed that. But
it was pretty incredible. And I'm just sitting there in bed and I'm looking at the date and September of 1995. I was 10 years old and oh man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
yeah, those were the days, man. We went to the 21-30 game, so where he tied Lou Gehrig, and that was it. I mean, you growing up in the Baltimore area, I was in the DC area, but my mom has always been an Orioles fan and grew up on that. And to look at the stadium then and like compared to what we've seen in the last couple of years, it's certainly some changes have happened.
Yeah. The ovation, I forgot how long it lasted. It was 22 minutes long, and like he goes out and he does like 4 or 5 different curtain calls. And finally, I think it was Bobby Bonilla and Palmero are just like, dude, you got to go take a victory lap. And so they kick him out of the dugout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he does the victory lap. It takes like 5 minutes by itself. And then they go like 2 or 3 more curtain calls after it. And, President Clinton was there, and like, there's just ESPN casually pans to a frame of Frank Robinson and Joe DiMaggio just sitting there, and like, wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall, just like sitting between those two and like what they're talking about? And I think the coolest thing that I didn't realize was they started talking about Lou Gehrig, and I knew Lou Gehrig was an incredible baseball player, but if you actually looked at some of his stats from, I think they displayed it from like 1927 to 37, his average season was just mind-boggling.
The stats in the 30s and 40s were just insane. Yeah. Were you wearing that shirt yesterday too?
I watched it specifically for this.
It's a talking point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to ask about it. So I guess now, Pete, for other people, tell us about your shirt.
So there's a running retailer and some other people that kind of got together and created this We Run Local Instagram account, and through Palmetto Running Company in South Carolina, and they're selling this particular shirt. There's another shirt about social distancing running project, and tote bag I think you can buy right now, and proceeds from your purchase when you check out, you put in your favorite running store, and proceeds from that item sales go to that running store. So I did pick Running Zone as my favorite running store when I purchased this shirt. So they did reach out to us asking me what my Venmo was, and I have no idea what my Venmo is, so I got to look that up.
A cool thing about that shirt, Pete, is Run House, one of the collaborators for that. They're actually in our building in Philly, so like their headquarters and our headquarters are very, very close to each other. Actually, one flight of stairs. We're in this old like vocational high school in South Philly, and we have like some old chemistry classrooms, and then Run House is right below us.
Yeah, they're doing some good stuff with like the daily running logs and stuff. I'm enjoying what they're putting out.
Yeah, it's a really awesome group of people.
So what, Alex, because I assume you normally travel and you go to different stores and shops. So what does that look like the last couple of weeks for you?
It's it's actually been kind of great to be home a little more from that aspect, and be at the Charlotte airport a little less. I have very much a love-hate relationship with the Charlotte airport. I'm there quite a bit, but yeah, and then
is that the airport that has the rocking chairs? Is that the airport with the rocking chairs throughout the concourses?
Yep,
the white rocking chairs?
They have some right. Yep, they have some in the main concourse, and then Philadelphia also has a bunch of rocking chairs.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, there's a bunch of them in Charlotte. My schedule is usually I'm on the road 3 days, 2 nights of the week, and then try and be home late on that third day. So it's kind of been refreshing to be at home, spend a little more time with the family, a lot more time with the family, and just be present,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, since I don't follow you on social, I will after this. I'll follow you all the places, but tell us a little bit about your family. Kids,
Yes.
You mentioned like your in-laws are there. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yep. So my wife, her name is Maria. She is working from home as well, and she is an only child to her parents, and they are Greek. They came over here from Greece in 1988, about a month before Maria was born. Probably shouldn't have been flying. And they had a restaurant in Newport News, Williamsburg area, which is about an hour away from where we live in Richmond. Last January, they closed that up and stay with us Monday through Friday to take care of our son George, who turned 22 months yesterday. So there are live-in childcare, and it's really awesome to have them here. And George is being totally immersed in the Greek language. I'm the only person that speaks English to him. And then we also have a 2.5-year-old Doberman. Her name is Belle. You've probably heard her chirping in the background here. And yeah, that's kind of our crew for quarantine.
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's been fun. We've set up set up some obstacle courses. We're running out of ideas here of things to keep George occupied.
Yeah, that's a tough age too, because you can't exactly sit down and play board games or have him read a book, or even read to him probably for too long. They're pretty active at that age,
just
but not
out trucks. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
We've got 3 turtles as well, and so today was the first day we let him kind of handle those, and went better than expected. Not perfect, but everything is not a ball we're trying to teach him. So a couple of them went airborne.
Life lesson. Yeah, that's a tough life lesson. That's great.
That's funny. What? No, I'm assuming they're not snapping turtles then.
No, not yet at least. They might start snapping a little more if they continue to get thrown. There's Belle.
Yeah, I heard her. We were just talking at the top of the program. We got a puppy last week. Well, she's 10 months, so she's not like Matilda. A puppy. But yeah, Matilda.
Yeah. So you kept her around?
Yeah, we decided to adopt her. She's official. She's here. She's actually behind me, like sleeping. She's really, really sweet. But when she does bark, it's like, I'm still not used to it too. She doesn't bark much, but it scares me for like a second. I'm like, what is that? But she's very sweet. She's doing really well.
Glad to hear that she's still in the mix.
Absolutely. Not going anywhere now. She's stuck with us. I said she'll be so confused because I have 5 kids and they're all home right now, and then we're working at home. When people start going to school and things like that, she's going to be like, what's going on? Where is everyone?
Right.
But I'll still be here certain days. She won't be too alone. Maybe she'll actually get caught up on some rest without someone constantly trying to pet her or give her a toy or give her a treat. So she might be ready by then.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what all dogs do when this thing finally breaks.
Yep.
For sure. Some of the dog memes have been pretty funny. Have you guys seen some of those? Like one that's like, maybe now you understand why when I'm inside all day I chew up all the furniture, or like different ones of just this one lady took all these pictures of her dog. It looked like a Pomeranian, and the dog just like giving her crazy looks in different spots in the house, kind of like, why are you here? What are you doing? So like, my dog's just doing this all day. Like, this is happening with my dog. What about your dogs, John? Because they're used to being home alone a lot. So how are they doing with, I know Courtney's home like all the time right now, right?
Yeah, she has been home with the dogs, 24/7. So I think Courtney's going a little stir crazy, not going to lie. Obviously I'm still going to work. So she's like, even if I don't leave the house, you're still going to work. So anyway, the dogs I think are enjoying, having someone home all the time with them. I worked from home for like 4 months before starting at Running Zone full time. So I used to take them for, we'd do a walk in the morning. I'd take them out and do like a kind of mid-morning snack for myself, and take them out then. And then my lunch break, I would take them for another walk. So they love when people are home because they get more exercise. They get to go out more often, and they love it. But Courtney was saying, she's like, I don't know when they sleep really, because sometimes like they'll wake up in the middle of the night like barking at something. Like, I don't know when they really sleep. I think they just take like small naps throughout the day or something. They're if anything, if no one's moving and they're just sitting there, then they'll probably just fall asleep. So I think that's pretty standard for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Are they allowed on furniture?
Yeah. They were allowed on furniture like for the longest time. So if we try and change that at all, I don't think it's going to work. Saint, they're both my dogs were about like 50 pounds or something, but the second my alarm goes off, or even like maybe a couple minutes before my alarm goes off, my male Saint, he's like jumping on the bed when I'm sleeping and like on top of my chest, just standing there. And so like he's like, it's time to get up, it's time to go for a walk. So I can't really like sleep in, like, the days where I don't set an alarm, he just knows like the normal time that I'd be getting up and, just starts waking me up. So sleeping in is not really an option in my house, unfortunately, but I try.
Same.
You have a dog?
But for different reasons. No.
No, I have a soon to be 1 year old.
Yeah, we got about 10 days to go till that. Amelia will be 1.
Yep.
It's exciting.
Birthday party with nobody there.
Plus to clean up.
Oh, you got to get the big cake for her to smash her face in, and like the fistfuls of the frosting and everything. You have to do that for posterity.
Yeah, see, then I got to clean that up.
You do it on the porch. Do it right where you are right now.
We'll see.
John's dogs can come over and help.
Yeah, you just can't get chocolate, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's a good point. See, I'm still learning. I know that one, though. No chocolate.
No
Got
chocolate,
it.
no grapes for whatever reason. Grapes
I've
are
heard
bad
that
for
too.
dogs. Yeah.
Yep. That's funny. Well, sorry I stepped away for a second. We had a little bedtime snafu, but I think you all understand having dogs and children.
Yep.
But Alex, I was curious, in all your traveling, I know you travel for work. What's the coolest place that you've traveled either for work or not? I assume you've been over to Italy for this role, or have you not?
Yep, we go usually either once or twice a year. So yeah, that has certainly been amazing and a really nice perk of the job. So in terms of traveling for the job, yeah, I would say going to Italy, and then what I try and do is like sneak in a little trip in a layover. So when I went for last sales meeting in May, so 2 sales meetings ago, a couple of the guys went to Prague for about 36 hours. So we got to check Prague out, and
Wow.
that was really awesome. And then the time before that, I have some really good friends that live in London. They met me at the airport. We rented a car and just like drove into the English countryside and checked that out. I was in England for 18 hours, and but got to get a feel for life outside of London, which I've only been to London and England, so that was a really cool opportunity. In the States, there's just I get to go to a lot of places that I would never otherwise go, like Alexandria, Louisiana, places that I would never think to travel to. Huntsville, Alabama is a really cool town. I really enjoyed my time in Melbourne. I'd never been there. I guess maybe I had with the cavalcade, but I stayed.
You don't have to say that.
No, but I stayed on the beach, had a great time.
You don't want to.
Yeah, I do really enjoy. Sorry,
I think you're breaking up like briefly.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I said we do have the beaches, so you're right. There is that.
I enjoyed that, and I try and balance my schedule, so I'm in Florida a lot during the winter months. Do that on purpose. So, yeah, I think everywhere is cool. Like you can find cool stuff and interesting things no matter where you are, and that this job has shown me that. But yeah, Italy.
So Katie, Alex had a good idea. We were kicking around kind of some things to talk about, and I think something we want to focus on is what are some of the most memorable or your favorite running scenes in movies or TV?
Okay. Do you guys have yours? Because I want to quickly think about mine one more second.
I've got a few. Yeah, I got a few in mind.
You want to go first, Pete? Or...
I'll go first. I'm assuming this is not a fantasy draft. I'll just list them all at once. I think obviously the big race episode of Seinfeld with Mr. Bevilacqua running through the streets, the Superman theme. And then there's, the John Paul marathon episode. And then the Office episode, and I wrote this down so I get it right. The Michael Scott, Dunder Mifflin, Meredith Palmer Memorial Celebrity Rabies Awareness Fun Run Pro-Am Race for the Cure. That sticks out to me. And then Terminator 2, the T-1000 running, chasing through the parking lot and everything. And not to steal your thunder, Katie, but Ferris running home to meet Mr. Rhodes and to try and beat his parents. Those are my top running scenes.
Alex, you want to go next before? Do you have some?
I mean, obviously, every Rocky montage, training montage in Russia, that's probably my favorite one. Just when he runs to the top of the mountain and then does the Rocky thing. Old school, Will Ferrell streaking down Main Street. That was pretty memorable. In Cool Runnings, when they're like in Canada finally, like obviously the opening scene where he gets tripped and like his Olympic dreams are shattered and he's watching all the guys like run around the track with the flag and high-fiving on that cinder track. Like that cinder track is like burned into my memory, like how terrible it would be to fall on that. But then when all four of them are training in Canada for the first time and they run back across the bridge and they all peg John Candy with the snowballs, that's memorable. And then I guess Superbad, when Michael Cera is running away and Seth Rogen calls him fastest kid alive. And I guess obviously Forrest Gump.
Yeah, when you had asked that question, the Forrest Gump one was one of the ones I'd thought of. I thought that was a pretty memorable one. Either just like his running motion, like this, or even just like with the bearded Forrest Gump, when he decides to turn around and says, "Well, that's it," he just stopped running. But the other ones, this movie isn't entirely about running. Chariots of Fire. Just that classic, the music to it and everything. And then if we're going for like a TV show, then How I Met Your Mother, when Barney runs the New York Marathon after not training for it at all. And, then he's stuck on the subway the rest of the day and he can't get off and he's calling Ted. He's like, "You have to come get me. Like, I'm stuck in the subway. I can't move my legs." And, the old ladies are staring at him because he won't give up his seat, and he's trying to explain, like, I ran the marathon. I can't get up, How about you, Katie? Any ones that stand out?
The Ferris Bueller scene's awesome. Just the timing of it and just feeling the anxiety of him trying to beat his parents home, or, I think we've all felt that on some level, right? Trying to get ahead of our parents on something. And I love that movie, and it's in Chicago, best city in the whole world. So I've got to love that one. But I actually saw one recently. It's very literal. I saw on Netflix, Britney runs a marathon. Not that Britney, not Britney Spears, but someone unrelated named Britney. Now, if Britney Spears ran a marathon, I would definitely watch that too and probably try to run with her. But anyway, that's another movie. But this one, I really liked it. I thought I had read different things about it, how, some people saying, "Oh, she was shamed into losing weight and that's not a good message," and this and that. So I wasn't sure what to think when I watched it, but I thought it was really good. And there's a part where it's almost the marathon and she gets injured. And so she actually has to defer. And I thought that was really interesting because then all her friends finished without her. I think we've all been there, right? In some level with running. I know I have, where I haven't been run a race the way I wanted or had to drop out for some reason. So just like that heartbreaking part. And then when she actually runs the marathon, I actually cried, like when she crossed the finish line. I've completed 2 marathons and didn't do as well as I wanted to and that sort of thing. So I felt like they did a good job on that film. So if you haven't seen it, it's a good one to watch with the wives. They would probably really like it because I loved it.
Tracy wanted to make sure we mentioned that one.
Did she? Well, there you go. See, I didn't even talk to Tracy. But so did she like it? Did she think it was like unhealthy or anything like that? Okay. That's good. That's good. And then fun fact, a few years ago, me and the kids and my husband were looking up the #1 song our birthday week, like the year we were born. And mine was Chariots of Fire.
Nice.
So there you go. It's a pretty good one. I think London's was like Boom Boom Pow or something by the Black Eyed Peas. So we decided I had definitely the coolest song of all of them.
For sure.
Alex,
Alex,
thanks for joining us. And I'm going to give you a choice, and you should probably say no, but I have a feeling you're going to say yes. Recently, I'm a big fan of conspiracy theories. I don't necessarily believe a whole lot of them. I'm just really fascinated by conspiracy theories and the depths or the lengths to which people will go to believe them or to try and convince people about them. So a couple episodes ago, I don't know if you heard it, during Ask Pete, we were talking about, I brought up the Stevie Wonder Isn't Blind community. And then we went to Tupac Isn't Dead, and we've kind of been dabbling here and there. And so if you'd like to stay for Pete's Conspiracy Theory of the Week, you can stay. If you'd like to jump off and keep your sanity, I totally understand.
Hey, he might have some experience in one of these, though, considering how much he travels.
Are you cutting all this?
Oh, no. This is staying.
Right now? This conversation?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's live. We can edit what we need to, but...
Okay. If I'm allowed to... I love conspiracy theories. I'm not going to share any of mine, but I would love to hear what you got coming up.
All right, so my question for the panel, for the group, I've got two here, and you tell me which is more plausible. One that I wasn't really familiar with when I went to Denver, and I'm really disappointed, but there's a group of people that believe Denver's airport is the home base of the Illuminati and or a portal to hell. And then some people believe that Walt Disney was cryogenically frozen, and that's why they named the movie Frozen, is so that because people were starting to snoop around and they would Google Disney Frozen and they would find these like kind of reports about maybe they froze Walt Disney, and they named the movie Frozen so that when you Google Disney Frozen, only the movie comes up and nothing else. I think probably the Disney one is more plausible, although the Denver airport is more interesting. And John, your thoughts?
Yeah, we talked about this briefly today. I've definitely heard the Denver airport one before, or I've not been to the Denver airport. I flew into Colorado Springs when I flew into Colorado, but apparently, like the murals and stuff in the Denver airport are like really strange too. I've heard it was like an Air Force base that was then they built over it, and that base is still underneath there, and there's all these aliens and stuff. So I've heard that one before. And I have heard the Disney Frozen one too, and I think that the Disney one is probably more plausible. But like you said, I am more interested in the Denver airport one.
Katie?
Yeah. These are definitely both new to me, but the other ones you had were pretty new to me, minus some of the Tupac stuff. I've been to the Denver airport. I just remember thinking it was like really oddly shaped, like almost like a circus tent, right? Isn't it sort of? I don't know. Anyway, I remember thinking it was very odd, and the art inside was really odd. Like it stood out to me, but I've only been there once. And the Disney thing, I believe, right? Like trying to SEO spam the page results, right? Trying to fix Google. I'd say it's more plausible, but there's probably a lot more written and a lot more that you can dig into on the Denver airport. But what about you, Alex? Let's get your guest opinion.
I'm all in on both. Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, there's so many on the Denver airport. I've been there a couple times, and yeah, they're all true. Every one of them. I don't know what they all are. They're all true.
Wow.
And then the Frozen one I had never heard until right now. So definitely be doing some Googling after this.
Mm-hmm. But you got to go to like the second or third page of Google, because the whole first page is, the movie now.
I do remember, didn't they freeze like Ted Williams and he like melted?
Yes.
Is the cryo lab like went out of business?
That's a risk you take.
Yeah.
I guess so. That's so crazy. So, but I mean, what do you think, Pete? What do you think about both of these? You said you think Frozen's more plausible, but.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me, but I'm more curious about Denver, and I wish I would have done my homework before we were at the Denver airport a couple years ago, so I could give you some eyewitness reporting. If I had, seen this portal to hell, and maybe I would have just never come back. But I did have some good beers in Denver. Our flight was delayed coming back, so maybe that's their trick. Is they get you liquored up, and then you kind of wander looking for the bathroom, and you find this accidental portal to hell, and you're never able to tell anybody about it. So
it's probably good that you didn't find it because you're here now. But
or maybe they didn't want me to find it so I could talk about this, and then people would think that it's still just a conspiracy and it's not really real. That's why they didn't take me to hell.
Some Inception stuff.
Yeah.
Seriously. Well, Alex, you said you're a big fan of conspiracy theories, so give us your top one or two that you believe.
I just like reading them. I'm very much in camp. Like I wouldn't say I like the JFK one. Obviously, is just super interesting, and Darren Rovell brought that to the forefront when he shared the video a couple months ago.
Yeah. And then the best part is when a conspiracy theory, a certain part of a conspiracy theory spawns a whole separate conspiracy theory in and of itself, and then you have like two camps going at each other. It's a wild place, and I'm so glad I live in the internet age. That's right.
And there's some there's some Shoeless Joe. Sorry to keep bringing baseball up, but there's some like Shoeless Joe Jackson stuff out there, like about his batting average during the series, and pitches he wasn't taking or was taking, and his RBIs when the game was out of reach, and stuff like that, and really no solid evidence saying that he's guilty of what he was charged with. And
wow.
Yeah, I'll read anything though like that.
One of my Unsolved Murders podcasts that I've been listening to had one on Edgar Allan Poe that was really interesting. Like most people just believe, he's depressed or whatever and just OD'd or had some sort of, but there's like all these other weird theories, including one, he ended up in Philadelphia instead of Baltimore when he got on a train, and it just happened to be election day the next day. So there's this theory that, not knowing who he was, these like thugs basically drugged him and made him vote a bunch of different places and put him in different clothes, not realizing it was Edgar Allan Poe, it was just some guy. And because when they found him like all disoriented and he ended up going to the hospital, he was in clothing that like he would not normally wear. And that was a popular thing back then. So they think maybe that's what killed him. It was really weird, really interesting. And he's kind of tied into a murder that happened about 30 years before him that one of his best-selling books is based off of, that's also unsolved. So there's some kind of conspiracies around that too, like if he was involved or got paid to cover it up with his book or whatever it may be. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm all in on them too. Keep them coming, Pete. I love hearing all the new ones.
Yep, I'll be doing my homework for next week.
Okay, good. In all your spare quarantine time, right?
Yep.
Well, I know you guys are still staying pretty busy in the store for sure. And Alex, you're probably still staying pretty busy, just like through online? Are you doing a lot of conference calls or anything like that?
Yep. Just stuff like checking in on guys like Pete and John and trying to plan our business for, the next 18 months. And but just trying to be there for all of our accounts.
I'm going to have to get into the store when I'm allowed to go back to the store and try on some Diadora. I had been saying that to John a couple months ago, but haven't done it yet. I'm interested to try them out and start running a pair. And I'll let you know what I think.
If you wanted to like recommend one pair to someone, like this is the first pair you should try on. Like obviously we carry two of the. I mean that's probably my favorite as well. But like any of the shoes you guys, is there one that we're not carrying that we should be carrying right now as well? The other one I see stuff about is the Fly. That's
yeah. So the Fly is that's what I do a lot of my training in. The reason you guys didn't bring the Fly in is we're updating it in October, September timeframe, and with you guys coming on board pretty recently, didn't want to have to transfer people that love that shoe and then they come back 4 months later and it's completely gone. So we have a new shoe coming out called the Volo. That's going to be awesome. It's the fly, but a much better version. Volo translates to fly in English, so
I'm very excited now.
getting some Italian in there.
So if people want to follow you, Alex, where can they find you online?
Do you want people to follow you?
That's a good point. And if not you, what about Diadora?
So they can follow Squadra de Corsa.
Okay.
Can't spell that, but I can. My handle is @Feldman_, and then if you want to follow Diadora, our kind of grassroots page is Squadra de Corsa, SQUADRADICORSA.
And we have if you follow the Running Zone account, we've tagged them in a lot of the coloring page photos that we've recently posted. They were posting daily coloring page photos. We were encouraging people to print those out, color them, and they were doing some shoe giveaways. So definitely give them a follow. Check out their stuff.
And we'll continue that throughout this whole quarantine time period. So a fun thing for the kids to do at home, and a couple winners have come out of the Melbourne area, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Waverly won some shoes. Yep.
Did she really?
Yep.
That's great. I saw some of hers posted on Instagram or whatever. I guess I should get my kids coloring. Geez, I need them to win some things.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow we'll print out a few. Get them going on it. Awesome. And if listeners, if this is your first time listening or watching us and you don't already follow Run Brevard, make sure you follow us at Run Brevard on Instagram and Twitter. And we have a special group that's part of the Running Zone Facebook page that you can join, Run Brevard Running Zone's podcast. And we post all sorts of fun things on there, questions. You can ask Pete questions there that he will answer, hopefully. And
Let me hear your best conspiracy theories.
Yep. And then he can investigate from there. And I assume we'll be back hopefully next week, maybe the week after. And we'll keep bringing you Run Brevard any way we can during this time, help you pass some of the time. And we do also have an audio only version. So if you aren't able to sit and watch the whole video, but you want to hear our conversation, you can listen to that wherever you listen to Run Brevard normally, your podcast directories. What else,
Alex,
guys?
thanks for coming on with us, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's very fun.
We'll let you get back to the Greek TV.
Thanks.
Yeah. And the turtles and the dog and the child and all of that.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.